Well, thank you so much for taking the time to attend the EnergyBiz Leadership Forum, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to ask you some questions about the energy industry.
My pleasure.
The first one is the power industry. I mean, right now it's really facing unprecedented challenges and opportunities. Now, what, from your viewpoint, are you seeing in terms of those challenges and opportunities?
Enormous challenges and opportunities. Gosh, where do you start? I mean, it's all about carbon at the moment, that and customers. On the carbon side, what generation sources do we choose? Demand for electricity is going to grow by 30% by the year 2030 or so, by some estimates. And we probably want to add generation that leaves us at that point with a net reduction maybe back to 1990 levels or even before.
Yeah.
And so we start going through the list of silver bullets, and there isn't just one silver bullet. So the question I would have as a utility executive is, what portfolio do I choose in order to serve my customers' needs? And then the other thing I mentioned was consumers themselves. Sad but true, we've done a really good job in delivering electricity at a low price for years and years and years. And that's what they expect. The changes we're going to have to make in order to meet future demand and in order to support the infrastructure, which by itself is a bit of a challenge, are going to require money. And that's going to mean increases in prices. And I'm afraid consumers aren't going to be terribly tolerant of that.
So what role do you see the federal government having in helping move forward with some of these initiatives, helping in terms of the consumer or carbon aspects? I mean, what role do you see that they have to play?
Well, certainly, first of all, supporting some of the initiatives that they've already begun in terms of looking at advanced technology, helping to accelerate the deployment of carbon capture and sequestration for coal, helping to deploy the next generation of nuclear power plants, helping to support smart grid initiatives, which left to their own devices, states might not necessarily fund. These are things certainly the federal government can do. On top of that, and perhaps in the policy arena, taking a strong look at a better backstop mechanism for transmission planning and construction. It still is very difficult to get a transmission line sited.
Definitely. Now, what are you seeing in terms of federal government spending? I mean, we've seen a lot happening with the stimulus plan and everything like that. I mean, what sort of difference is that making?
I think it's making a big difference. In particular, some of the loan guarantees on nuclear plants, I think really send a signal, if nothing else, not just to help those plants, but send a signal to the industry that the federal government is predisposed to support the further development of nuclear power. On the smart grid side, the money that's been spent there, I think, really will have an effect of bringing together some of the coalition that is necessary. It's the broadest form of collaboration. We can learn from each of those experiments, and we can turn that knowledge into a plan for deploying a smart grid throughout the United States.
So where do you see things going with the energy industry or the power industry in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think there's a bit of a resurgence, for example, with regard to customers. I think there's an understanding that if CO2 reduction is of interest, then maybe looking at the customer and helping him with technologies on the demand side might once again come forward. We've been away from that for a while, but if you're serious about reducing CO2, some of the biggest opportunities are in deploying things like plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, and technologies that displace natural gas and oil at the point of end use, technologies that are electric, with their unique advantages in how they leverage electricity and deliver services to customers. I think they could be quite effective in helping reduce overall CO2 emissions.
Absolutely. So you're set to receive the EnergyBiz Kite Award, the Lifetime Achievement Award. What was your reaction when you found out that you had won that?
First, surprise. I'm enormously flattered. I really don't understand why they would choose me, except that perhaps I've had a bit of experience in the industry over a number of positions and a number of years. I've probably been a real technology advocate, but never unreasonably so, I think. And that is, I've always tried to assess how technologies best apply, how we can best utilize them, and tried to move them forward into the marketplace.
So what would your advice be for people that are looking at, young engineers, students looking to get in the utility industry, what would your advice be for them?
Oh, I think I've got a great idea around that, and that's ideas. The coin of the realm in our industry these days has got to be good ideas. And find a forum, find a place, find a utility, find an organization that will help you nurture those ideas and bring them forward. That's where I'd want to be if I were entering the industry. That's where I've been, and I've enjoyed it very much.
Well, great. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.